Hello, everybody. I want to talk about consciousness and unconsciousness and how I think that there are many people that actually operate unconsciously throughout life, right? Like they don't need to think about anything, like they could just um, do whatever they want without really pondering or reflecting on their life. I think when you're able to walk through life living unconsciously, obviously you probably feel bliss, right? You feel very happy because you don't know you're happy, right? So you're happy. You're not thinking. Consciousness, on the other hand, is thinking about stuff, right? So we can think of it like this. I think about it like this. Unconscious is like internal. It's like who you really are deep down in your core, right? With no filters, with no moral, like kind of like the id in psychology, like just this animal, this primitive, right? And sometimes that animal or that primitive is a good person, right? It's functional and people don't really need to think. And I kind of envy that, right? That's kind of cool how people can kind of do that. And then there's the consciousness, and the consciousness is like this curtain around you, like all around you, which actually works to kind of filter your unconsciousness, right? So the consciousness is like you're somewhere and someone does something and you're thinking, fuck this motherfucker, or what the fuck is that, or you're with you're at your job and you're like, what the fuck, that's fucking stupid, right? But you don't say those things because that's your unconscious, that's your internal primitive animal without filters, right? So the consciousness works as a curtain, right? As a kind of a, how can I say it, like this type of, yeah, basically like a filter where you're gonna filter those thoughts. So sometimes the consciousness can become so strong that you will actually not say anything, right? Like you think about this and you get pissed off or whatever, and you just sit back and don't say anything. You're just like, yeah, like I'm not bothered at all, right? Supposedly, but you are, right? You're feeling bad inside. You're not expressing that. It's eating you up inside, right? So consciousness kind of works for you to either stop that or filter it. So maybe you're not gonna say, don't be fucking stupid, at a job meeting or something, but you will say something like, I don't think that's such a good idea, or you'll filter it, right? So here I have a couple questions that I asked ChatGPT to ask me. And it says, can you elaborate on the concept of operating unconsciously without negative traits? How might this relate to individuals who seem to navigate life effortlessly without displaying negative behaviors or traits? Yeah, I think those people are, I don't know, I think they've either, I don't know, I wouldn't say they're good or bad. I think they're just people that are pure, like their reactions aren't negative. I would say they don't get pissed off, they don't get angry, they don't get, maybe they don't really have a and like a fair unfair criteria, like, oh, that's not fair. They could potentially be pushovers, right? Like floor mats, and you could even possibly manipulate them, or they could have very strong personalities, but they don't need the consciousness, right? They don't need to filter it because it's not that bad. They might not say, like, they might not think that's fucking stupid at a job interview. They might just straight out think, well, I don't think that's such a good idea. And they'll actually say it consciously, or they'll say it, and it will go right through like that, right? From the unconscious into the other people with no need for the consciousness. So yeah, I don't think it has to do a lot with well, yeah, it actually does have to do with not having negative traits. Second question, in your opinion, how do individuals who operate unconsciously without thinking or reasoning impact the dynamics of social interactions and relationships? Are there potential advantages or disadvantages to this approach? I think there are advantages because you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about things, getting stressed, getting angry, getting frustrated, not being able to express things. So that's probably, and I think if you're well liked, then people will just, you'll be able to be yourself. And I think that's the most important thing. So you'll be able to be yourself while being socially accepted. And that's huge, right? Next question says, for those who need to consciously control their erratic unconscious, like me, what challenges might they face in daily life? Ooh, many. How does this conscious control influence decision making and behavior in different situations? Yeah, huge. You get confused, because you might say, well, I don't think this is fucking fair. But it's the best option for you long term, right? Maybe you're angry in the moment, so you'll want to make a decision that's like erratic, right? That's based on your unconscious, but that's not the correct way to go, right? So you are basically like having an internal conflict, right? And it is hard. So I think like the way you need to fix this problem is basically like filter what you feel inside, right? Like really filter it. Like don't create a wall and keep it inside, right? Next question says, how can self-awareness play a role in bridging the gap between unconscious and conscious states? Are there practices or techniques that individuals can employ to enhance their self-awareness and better navigate the balance between these two states? I think association. I was reading on psychoanalysis, and I think this is huge. You need to be able to like for example, there's this exercise that's called free writing or something like that, where you just write down whatever comes to your mind without filters, right? So you will be able to see what you're spontaneously thinking, what you're spontaneously coming up with, right? So don't put limits, don't control your mind. And I think that's how you can cross over to the unconscious. Sometimes you can also reflect, right? Like, we live busy ass lives. So I think once in a while we just need to not do anything and sit down and just, contemplate whatever pops into our heads. And that way, I don't really think that you can access the unconscious by dreams, right? Because typically they say dreams. I'm not really like a big dream guy. I think more that, you can dream awake. You can like just sit there and, go off into your own thoughts. So that would be a good way to do it. And the last question says, in exploring the relationship between consciousness and unconsciousness, how do you believe there is a spectrum? Do you believe there is a spectrum or continuum rather than a clear dichotomy? How might individuals move along the spectrum, and what factors contribute to shifts in their awareness and behavior? I think the real thing we only have to evaluate consciousness is memory. And sometimes memory fails us, right? Like we may remember something a certain way and then see it again and then figure out that it's not that way, it's a different way. Like a series, like think back to a series you've seen like years ago, and you may notice different things that you were like, oh, I thought it was like this, but it's like that. So yeah, I mean, it could be a dichotomy, but it could also be a continuum, a spectrum. In the day-to-day, you may be sitting there like really pondering about things, and then you go on your day, you do your activities, and then you enter like this unconscious mode, right? So yeah, you do kind of like go back and forth through it, especially I think with automatic things, with things that you're really good at, like driving or walking. If you're just like walking to work or walking to the bathroom or back from the bathroom, you may just go into that unconscious. So yeah, you do kind of like go back and forth. I'm not sure if it's a continuum or if it's something like more objective, like you're either conscious or unconscious. I think it's not so much a continuum as it is like a dichotomy, where you're either here, you're either conscious thinking, or you're unconscious and you're just being, right? You're just, which I think is the goal of life, right? Just to be and be able to be in a social environment and be accepted by the social environment, right? So that's all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for staying till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.